of their loved ones. Sean Dilley, Sky News.
Well, with us now are the mountaineer Alan Hinkes, an expert in disaster risk, Katie Peters, and Dr. Ram Kandangwa, who's a leading member of the Gurkha community here in the UK. And Dr. Kandangwa, if I could go to you first, what are Gurkha people in this country hearing about what's happened to the community in Nepal?
Yes, we Gurkhas and also the Nepalese diaspora have been hearing a lot about this deadliest disaster that occurred in Nepal yesterday. Since all of them have been using social media, especially Facebook, and they are fully aware of the natural disaster. And now there are many organizations of the Gurkhas and also the Nepalese diaspora, and some organizations have already held meetings. One and all Gurkhas and Nepalese are in a mood to raise money and to give it to the Nepalese government. So some organizations already held meetings, and some will held in a couple of days. But the point is, you see, whether they have to send it individually by organizations or they have to send it in one amount as a whole. They have yet to decide it.
Because we heard a report from our correspondent in the region saying that some people were very angry at the government's response. They felt that the government hadn't prepared for this enough, wasn't doing enough to help those made homeless and needing food and water.
Maybe, but you see, it has been a burning issue for the last 10-15 years, because the disaster last time struck was 1834, and after that, even if it lies in earthquake-prone zone, any earthquake had not struck after that. Therefore, lots of discussions and preparations, discussions were held in the last 10 to 15 years. So they must have done some preparations. But
I mean, Katie Peters reporting on the meeting of seismologists last week in Kathmandu. But was that because it was felt that there were developments that had been picked up which meant that an earthquake was imminent, or simply, as everyone knew, that this was a high-risk area because of the two tectonic plates meeting in the Himalayas?
I mean, my experience from working with both local civil society organisations and also the government of Nepal is that they were well aware that an earthquake was imminent at some point. But what's incredibly challenging is actually that Nepal faces a whole range of different disasters year on year. And each time they get a disaster, it sets back the development gains that they have. So obviously there was a lot of preparedness work that had gone into trying to prepare for an earthquake, but they had to try and prioritise. So there was retrofitting programmes, for example, that were prioritising schools and hospitals, but they simply couldn't get around to retrofitting the massive urban sprawl that's become the Kathmandu
And where
Valley.
does the money for that come, for making the buildings safer so they don't fall on people effectively?
So the government of Nepal have been investing an awful lot in disaster risk reduction, and they've been supported by a number of international governments and agencies, including the UK. I think what's important, though, is to actually think a little bit more carefully as an international community about when we're investing. 5 times more money is actually spent on a response than it is on helping people to prepare, and that needs to change.
Now, Alan Hinkes, I mean, mountaineers have also been caught up in this, on Mount Everest especially, and they're used to danger, but this earthquake has caused an avalanche on a scale we've never seen before.
It is. That's absolutely unique. I mean, first of all, I must say my heart goes out to Nepal, because it is a fantastic country. It's a lovely country, lovely people, and a safe country, other than these natural disasters, obviously. I was actually there in the last big earthquake in 1988, I should say, as well, which was pretty scary. There was quite a few people killed then, but I guess when you're out of the Kathmandu Valley, you probably think you're relatively safe because you're not in that dodgy area of Kathmandu Valley that's going to collapse. But this avalanche on Everest is unbelievable. It's a humongous ice and snow and rock face that's collapsed, and then it's created a huge, what's called airborne avalanche, which has blasted the base camp. And the base camp's in a safe area normally. So basically it's like being shelled, you know, it's like being blown up, you know.
I mean, how many people typically at this time of year would there be on Everest and in the area mountaineering?
Yeah, it's difficult to say. I haven't checked, but there's going to be anywhere between 900 and 1,500 at base camp, I'd have thought. You know, there's usually several hundred attempting Everest, and then you've got your base camp staff, which are local cooks and sirdars, you know, people like that, foremen. So clearly there must be at least 1,500 there. But as I say, it's in a safe area at 5,400 metres. What I should point out is the people at Camp 1 must be in a dire strait. They must be really scared because they're cut off. This avalanche has wiped out the route between base camp and Camp 1.
And Katie, just turning to the wider area, I mean, there's so many factors hampering the rescue efforts. It's not just the aftershocks, which are continuing, which are almost like powerful earthquakes in themselves, but you've also got the remoteness of where some people are living. There might be entire villages wiped out, we still don't know yet. And there's also the very poor state of infrastructure. So a huge challenge for all the different countries and charities that have come to Nepal to try and help.
Yes, it's a massive challenge, and I think it's incredibly important, particularly for international efforts, to make sure that they're really supporting local and nationally led response, because the local communities know best in terms of actually how to deal with the disaster.
I mean, Dr. Kandangwa, we've heard from the British the response that the government is making so far. You're raising money. What is needed in your view now?
Rescue operations are already underway, and now, according to the reports, they are running low of medicines. They need mobile hospitals, since the hospitals in Nepal had been already overwhelmed. They need doctors, nurses, and maybe food, clean water, and things like that.
Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.